Hello everyone and welcome to this editing tutorial video. For the ones who don't know who I am, hi, my name is Lucia from Losing My Life on Instagram and Tumblr, and in this video I'm going to show you how I edited this underwater picture using Photoshop. I also would like to thank the Instagram account Mama Bear Pixels for asking me to do this tutorial. And yeah, with that being said, let's start editing. Now this picture is actually the combination of three different ones. I use this picture for the background. I then use this other picture of my Sims, which I took online because I couldn't post them underwater. And lastly, I use this other picture to add that little squid in the corner and add more sea life to the final picture. The first thing we want to do is add our Sims to the background picture. So what I'm going to do is head over to the picture of my Sims. We are going to use the quick selection tool to start selecting our Sims. You can also select the background and then invert it, but I like to select my Sims more for some reason, even though probably the background would be faster. Make sure to select every single part of your Sims. It doesn't matter if a little bit of the white background goes into the other picture. We will later delete all of the excess that we don't want. It's better to have parts of the background that have missing parts of your Sims. So don't worry about making a perfect selection. It doesn't have to be perfect actually. Pay special attention to areas that don't have much contrast, because those are the areas where you're just gonna miss something and your Sim's gonna be missing part of their skin or hair. I use a white screen for this picture, but you can also use green screens. Those work really well. In fact, I think they work a little bit better, but I don't know why I prefer white screens sometimes. It really depends on what your Sims are wearing too. If your Sim is wearing something green, don't use a green screen because it's just gonna be a mess. So once you have selected everything, you're gonna copy, Ctrl+C, copy your Sims and paste them with Ctrl+V onto your background picture. Here, what we're going to do is just scale them in order to make them as big or as little as we want. You have to position your Sims according to the places you want to keep in the picture. Obviously, as you can see, I cut it later on, so I wanted these areas to show. So I had to place my Sims not exactly in the middle, but more to the side, so this area will show. I didn't want this area, for example, so that's something important to keep in mind. So yeah, now we have our Sims. I usually duplicate this layer just in case. I usually hide it and don't work on it, but in case I make a mistake, I can easily go back and restart again. So I'm gonna go closer, zoom in on my Sims, and here you can see these white lines. So in certain areas, so you can see the white areas around my Sim. So what I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna go with the erase tool, 100%, make it quite small. I'm gonna really zoom in, go as close to my zones as I possibly can without it getting pixelated and without it being awkward for me to work. So I'm gonna use it in number 4. Obviously you have to use it according to the picture you're editing and the areas you're editing. Sometimes you can use a bigger one, sometimes you can't. I'm gonna start erasing little by little all those white lines. Believe me, it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very careful with this, so as to not delete something you don't want to delete, but you're gonna very slowly. Let's see if I can actually go closer. Yeah. You are gonna have to adjust. You're gonna have to adjust the size. See, the size of the brush, of the eraser, as needed. I'm gonna show you something now. Something that I don't recommend you to do is to change size, sides. So if you could see, I was going clockwise. So I'm not gonna now go over to this side because that's just gonna make a mess and I'm not gonna be sure what I'm actually doing. So now that some areas are done, I'm gonna be moving to changing the brush size in order to delete these areas that are slow, that are smaller and that I can't go in with a bigger brush without deleting everything. I'm gonna show you something now. Let's go back to 4. If by any chance you suddenly move wrong, like I just did, you suddenly make a mistake, don't panic, don't delete everything right away. I know some of you probably know how to use Photoshop, but in case you don't, if you suddenly were erasing here and you did this, you don't have to delete all the layer, just do Ctrl+C and it will go backwards. Or just simply go edit, step backward. I'm quite sure there is probably a quicker or easier way to do this, but I don't know, this is just what works for me. Personally, I have tried other options and they didn't look as good as I wanted it to look like. So this is what I do with all the pictures that I edit in this particular way. Okay, so once you have deleted all the white edges, you can see it in the copy layer that we kept just in case. You can see the before and after here, all the white lines disappearing. Now what I like to do is fix glitches on my sims. So I'm gonna zoom in again and fix any weird lines or things that just don't make sense, like these. It doesn't really make sense. So I'm gonna just go and fix edges. I don't like how those lines in the arms are really noticeable, so I always blur them a little bit. Before you start editing all the glitches on your Sims though, I would recommend you to either save the project or duplicate this layer we were working on previously, the one where the white edges around the Sims are gone, so that you have a backup of this editing process until now. You can also delete the other layer, the one that has the white edges, so that you don't keep multiple copies of different layers that you don't need. Now I'm going to create a new layer, and with the stamp tool I'm gonna press Alt, click on the area I want to copy, then stop pressing Alt and click on the areas I want to fix. What the stamp tool does is it actually, let's do it bigger, there. It keeps textures, something that other tools don't do. So that's why I really prefer using the stamp tool. I'm gonna move past this line, and then I'm gonna go back with the eraser. Since this is a new layer, as you can see, I can erase all the areas that I don't need. Actually, I erased too much over there. Go a little bit closer so I don't make any mistakes that I don't want to make. There we go. And we're gonna erase all these areas to have one clean line and to not mess up the hair, which has its lights and dogs already in place, so we don't want to mess that up. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with my other sim, my beautiful Anna. So this sim is actually a little bit different because I have these hairs coming onto my sim. So I'm actually not gonna be using the stamp tool because I don't want to copy those hairs going over that band. So instead of the stamp tool, I'm gonna use this match tool. Now you have to be very careful with this match tool. I'm gonna use it in 100% by the way, and I'm actually gonna use these so that I don't. I'm gonna use the stamp tool a little bit, but not much until there. And then I'm gonna use this match tool, quite small, maybe 4, and I'm gonna go try and erase that. Well, always work on a different layer. I don't want you guys to work directly on your sims, otherwise you're not going to be able to erase any mistakes you make. And we need to erase things here, so that eraser tool, erase the excess. And there we go. Now if you zoom out, obviously it doesn't really look great when you see it in 500%, but when you go back to 70, which is how around the size that your that everyone's gonna see it once you post it anywhere. It does look good, and that's what we care about the most. Once that's done, we're gonna start adding some details with brush in order to make it look like they are actually on the water. And we're also gonna edit the sims to make them match the color of the background. First things first, we're gonna start adding some details with the brush. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one, the 856, which if we go and put it in white, just to show you, I'm gonna delete this layer. This is what it looks like. This is gonna give the water effect that we want on our sims. Now I'm gonna copy this sort of blue color that's on top of what's on the water surface. Add another layer, layer 3. That's how it's gonna look like. So you're gonna just move it around. You can make it as big or as small as you want, that doesn't matter. Smaller, that will work. Something like that, something very, very simple. I'm gonna move it to put it on Anna as well. Put it on my other sim. I'm just used to referring to them by name. So, while we still see these, I told you guys that I wanted it only on the clothes and I don't want it on the water because that wouldn't really make sense. So I'm gonna go again with the eraser tool. We're gonna use the eraser tool like crazy here, and we're gonna start erasing everything that we don't want to keep. Also, very important, I want this water effect on their backs. I don't want it in the front because this water effect is caused by the surface, not by the bottom. So these areas where you can't, the surface light will not be hidden on, I don't want them there. Like same here where I will have the shadow of the air tank. I don't want that. Here I don't want this because it wouldn't really make sense. So be careful with the areas that you choose. Here it wouldn't really make sense because again, no water image. So make sure you choose the correct areas. Now, another important thing, if you're editing something like this, water does not follow a straight pattern. So if you are gonna add it to the arm, don't add the same light to the legs because like this wouldn't really make much sense. So I'm gonna add another layer or another area of it just on the legs. I'm gonna add it on another layer just because I can easily change that. Now, this on itself doesn't look good. So what we are actually going to do, I'm going to merge these two layers to make it just one. And this does not look good. Why? Because it's too dark. So we're going to change the opacity to maybe, I don't know, 50% or 70. I used 70 on the original picture, but I don't know if I just. Okay, so now we're going to change the color of our sims to make the background match, actually make them match the background color. So I'm simply going to grab the quick selection tool and select my sims. Since they are on their own little layer, the background won't be selected. So we're gonna select them and we're gonna go to color balance. I'm gonna click on preserve luminosity, and what I want is to make them more bluish, to make it seem like they are on the water. So I need to go over to the cyan and the blue. So I'm gonna make these minus 14 like I had in the other picture. As you can see, it's more greenish. Now I'm gonna go to the blue and change it to 15. Now they look like they are actually on the water. Here you can see the before and after if I click on them. And what I'm gonna do, just because I like to, this is part of my editing process, but you will do this only if you want to. I'm gonna go into quick selection, go back to my Sims layer, select them again, and apply a light curve. Now the curve is actually gonna be not very bright, maybe 20% to make it look brighter, not too bright. Now the reason why I moved the layers in which we added the water effect and fixed glitches down is so that they are also affected by the curves and the color balance. Otherwise, those will not be affected by this other editing, and sometimes that can look a little bit odd. So I don't like how they look, so I use a different tone. I use a darker blue, so I'm gonna move it to 30%. You can still see it, but they are not as dark as they were before. I actually need to add, now that I realize, another one, maybe with a lighter color. Somewhere over here. Go back to 100. To the pan. I'm adding that effect to the pants so that you can see it more because it wasn't really noticeable before. So once that's done, I'm gonna merge this new layer with the previous one that had the water effect, and I'm changing the opacity back to 80. What we're gonna do now with the brush tool is add bubbles. We're gonna change the color of the brush to make it white and add a new layer as always. We're gonna change the size and the rotation to make it look exactly how we want, and we're gonna start applying it to this new layer. And I'm not only going to add this for my Sims, but I'm also adding it to that fish at the back. I'm gonna play around with the opacity of the bubbles because I don't want them to be too bright. So I'm changing it first to 70, but then I switch it to 60%, and and I quite like the way it looks. I did this especially for the fish at the back. I didn't want those bubbles to be really noticeable. Now, with doing this, I totally forgot that I want my Sims to be the main focus of this picture. And so I want the bubbles they produce while breathing to be more noticeable. So what I'm gonna do is go back to brush, select the bubbles again, and apply a new layer on top of the one I just created to make these bubbles brighter. The best thing you can do is actually create two different layers, one for the Sims and one for the fish at the back. I didn't do that. I don't know why. I just did it differently. Both options work. The other one is just easier. Just so that I don't edit parts that actually don't need to be edited, because that can happen, believe me. I'm gonna cut the image now to the size that I want. I'm going to change the image size now so that I can actually fit the entire image in 70%. Now, the only thing that I need to edit, because I don't like it, is this area over here. So I'm going to move closer to that. And we're going to get rid of this because I honestly don't like it. And to get rid of that, we're going to use the stump tool again. So once more, we're going to create another layer, and we're going to use the stump tool, pressing Alt and then moving around to, so again, press Alt and click to copy, stop pressing Alt, and simply click again and start moving in order to start pasting that texture. Again, I'm using the stump tool because, as you can see, it does not erase texture, and that's the most important thing right now for me. I want to keep the texture. I don't want this to be a plain gray area. I want this to look like an actual rock. You can make it bigger if you want to, that's fine. You have to press Alt. As you can see, whenever you see this target thing, it's because I'm pressing Alt. You're gonna press Alt all the time, guys, all the time, literally, as you go, in order to create an actual texture, the actual texture you want to create. I would recommend these over the smudge tool whenever you can. Sometimes the smudge tool is just easier. This is the smudge tool, by the way, but if you can use the stump tool, I would totally recommend that. As you can see, this area is clean now. It's just a rock. I don't have these weird plant things everywhere. Now, on the original picture, I also have this little guy over here, and that's what we're gonna add now by using my other picture. And we're gonna repeat the process that we did with our Sims. I'm simply gonna go to the quick selection, select this little guy, a little bit of the rock too, I don't really care. We're gonna go to the picture we're editing and paste it. We can get rid of that, we don't need it. And now we're gonna move these here maybe. That looks fine. I'm gonna get rid of these just because I want to finish. So I'm gonna get rid of parts of a little bit of the background. And there we go. Now we have that little guy that we wanted. On to final editing details. This is something that I do to all of my pictures. And now that we have this is the moment where you have to add your own editing style to it, and where you will edit things as you normally do. But I'm gonna show you how I normally edit my pictures. So first I'm gonna smart sharpen everything, the entire image. Now it's gonna just sharpen the background, not my Sims, because I'm on the background layer. I always use these presets, 60 and 2.3 of radius. You can see before and after, I hope you can see it. So I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna go to my sim layer, not the copy that we don't want to use, but my actual sim layer. And I'm gonna go again, sharpen, smart sharpen. I don't merge them just in case I want to move things around. I don't think I will move them for this, but it has happened to me before where I'm done editing and I suddenly say, oh, you know what, my Sims would look better if they were here instead of up there. That happens, so I don't particularly recommend merging until the end. If you want to merge it, I never actually do that, but it really depends on you. I'm gonna go with the little guy as well. I'm gonna sharpen everything. Now, something that I also do for my background is use Topaz Clean. So I'm gonna open Topaz Clean. Again, this is just gonna be the background. I have these presets already created and I never changed them. Maybe I should change them for some pictures, but I never do. These are the presets that I use. So I'm gonna just click OK, and I'm gonna go and do the same thing with my Sims. Click OK, and there we go. Now what I'm gonna do is make my image brighter without making my Sims brighter, because I don't want them to be lighter than they are now. I just want them to pop a little bit more. So for that I'm gonna move these two layers, which are the last two we created, the animal and the rock part. I'm gonna move them back down. Why? Because I'm gonna, once I click on background, and I'm gonna go to curves, lighter, and I'm gonna move the curves so that it affects also. If I keep it down here, as you can see this weird line here. That is because of the rock we cleaned. So we're gonna move it back up so that it also affects these two layers, and there you go, you have them brighter without actually making your Sims any brighter. Maybe they look a tiny bit brighter, but that's because of the background and not because of you're actually making your Sims brighter. Sometimes, not always, I do this again and I go maybe put it like in 50 or 40, it really depends. I like my images to be bright, so I changed that according to what I see fit. And I also use color balance without preset luminosity, and I go to 5 in midtones and 5 in shadows. It really doesn't matter. That's something that I do for all my pictures. this is something that I do the color balance for all my pictures. In this one, it doesn't particularly matter just because everything is blue, everything looks blue. But in other pictures, it does make a difference. So I think that's it. So yeah, this is the end result. This is how I add pictures on top of pictures. I use this method quite often, really. Quite a lot. You will be surprised by how often I do this, but I think it is an amazing way to add more depth and more things into your pictures to make it look a little bit better. It does take a long time. It does. I know it does. But it is really worth it. So thank you all so much for watching this tutorial video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have a really fantastic week.